So we're talking about purpose versus calling, correct? So if you saw the other video, I explained how purpose is a collective assignment for all of us to remember love, rediscover love, embrace love, and just remember the divinity that is within, the goddess and the god. And through that, our calling will literally call us, and it will be revealed in what ways as an individual representation of the collective consciousness and collective force that is God, creator, source, universe, love, and how we're supposed to express that individually, how we're supposed to create with that, how we're supposed to inspire through that. So with each individual, it's different. Me personally, shamanism was my calling. Shamanism is my calling. That was something revealed to me very early on in my journey, something I very much embraced, and I can count many times throughout this path, if you want to say we have a path, which is the calling, or when I should say, I was so driven by the ego, by the individual self, by the I self instead of the I self, that I was trying to learn and study and do all these things, thinking it was going to make me more enlightened, make me a better shaman, make me a better whatever, you know? I'm not saying that those things didn't help. Of course, yes, they did. However, recognizing now where a lot of that was ego-driven and ego-based, and it wasn't true to love and true to authenticity and true to the heart, so I wasn't following the calling of shamanism, because everyone's calling is going to look different. Not everyone's called to be a shaman. Yes, you could take a shamanic course and class and learn the teachings and methods and things, but when you're following your calling, there's certain, I don't want to say secrets, but there's certain things that you really just know. And that's different. If your calling is herbalism, there's just certain things you know about herbs and plants and roots and just all of the workings of that. Gardening, you know? If your calling is astrology, there's just some things you know about the stars and the planets and the alignments that you may not find in a course or through a teacher or through a mentor. Things you just know it because that's your calling, because you tapped into the heart space, you tapped into love, you tapped into that frequency of I am, we are. We're not separate. However, as a I individual, my calling of expressing, creating, and inspiring love is through shamanism, is through astrology, is through herbalism, is through massage, is through Reiki, is through public speaking, is through whatever, you know, I'm hearing dance. Like, that may be your form. Because that in turn makes up the whole collective of the human experience, right? Which is what creator created us for, so we could experience these things. I bring this message though because for personally, the personal I, the ego I, the self individual, prior, knew and understood the path of shamanism and was trying to learn and fit into teachings, lineages, traditions that weren't and aren't really aligned with the shamanic calling that is for this individual character specifically. Many things learned, yes, knowledge is great. However, it's understanding that comes from, again, the ego base. Wasn't coming from a heart-centered, loving place. Because when it is, and you truly align with that calling, again, it's just things you know. It just happens. It just comes to you. It's not anything you could learn in a book. It's not anything you could learn from a teacher. It's not anything you could learn from, you know, going on a retreat or taking medicine. It's just things that you know. It's things that you feel. It's things that are just so deep within you. I don't want to say you can't explain it, but it just is. And so following your calling is so important. But in order to do that, you have to understand and embrace your purpose of love. So that way you could save time, because time's an illusion. But that way you're also, I don't want to say wasting, but you're making it harder on yourself to experience and enjoy reality, because you're struggling so hard to take this course or go on this retreat or learn from this mentor or do XYZ when that's not really aligned with you. You know how they say that if it wasn't meant for you, that's why it didn't work out, that's why the door didn't open, XYZ. Yeah, that's why. Because that's not aligned with your calling. So it didn't work out for you. But the ego self, the individual self, the separate self instead of the I self, it's the I self, was so attached to that idea. I wanted this. I wanted that job. I wanted that house. I wanted that trip. I wanted these things. It's not bad to want things. But when you align with purpose, which is love, and then your calling calls and you answer, and then you align with that for the individual self, guess what? Everything that you now want is now in alignment with that, because what you want is truly what you want at a soul level. It's not what you want from the ego, from the shadow, from the physical. It's what you want from a soul level. So now that trip that you were gonna go on that probably wasn't a destination that was aligned for you, now you're in alignment with your purpose and your calling, which is love, and the ways you express that and create with that, inspire that. And now the trip that you are going to go on, which is to a whole nother destination, which is in alignment for you, works out beautifully, better. You actually went for free. You know, like, it's so beautiful and divine. And so this is just a reminder to come back to love. That should be your whole purpose on this spiritual path, journey, we'll call it. And once you do, and your calling calls, and you answer it, and you are able to separate from the ego, because the ego may be like, I don't want to do that. That don't feel like me, because I want to be individual. I want to be independent. I want to be my own person. That don't feel like me. Well, it is you. It's you without the programmings, without the conditioning, without the societal constructs and systems. Because you are now answering a calling from a heart-centered space. You look at the call and you're like, hey, what's up? All right, cool. We going? We doing this? All right, bet. Flip the phone. So, just wanted to elaborate a bit on that more, because I was just feeling called to do so. So, I love you. You're beautiful. We're beautiful. I love us. Be safe. Remember to breathe. Come back to love. Come back to gratitude. Forgive thyself. Forgive everything and everyone. And remember that you are abundant. You are creator. You are divine. There's no separation. It just is. It's just us. It's just love. All right.